All right, all you positive heads. On this week's Soul Share episode, I'm very excited to have Carol Collins here with me on the show. Carol is a gifted medium who channels the teachers, whose primary focus is to deliver wisdom from the beyond via what they refer to as the essential materials. Super excited to have you here. Hello, Carol. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello, hello. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this. It's always exciting to have wisdom from the beyond to come through. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to see what that looks and sounds like. I am going to start off with my cliche opening question, which is this: You're in an elevator. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" You have 10 floors to answer. What do you say?
Anything that has to do with the essential material, non-physical life, and how to make physical life better.
Hmm, fair enough. Well, let's hear about that. And if you would, I'm really fascinated by your backstory, the little what I know of it, because you've done a lot in a little period of time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And yeah. And I talk to a lot of people. It's pretty uncanny the amount of material that you've been producing in the time period. So if you could share whatever is relevant about your backstory to kind of set the stage for us today.
Sure. I'll say don't fear a meltdown. Don't fear a meltdown, but do something when you're in the middle of it. And
Mm,
what I did is I journaled a lot, and then I came across Abraham Hicks, and I just say every interview that I do, I always say thank you to Abraham first,
mm,
and then also to Esther Hicks, Esther and Jerry. So I came across depression from I had a relationship meltdown. And so a lot of people have that. Don't
mm,
fear it.
mhm,
Just work through it. And so while I was doing that, and I found things that were interesting that tried to help keep me in the mode of being able to cope. And I found emotional intelligence, emotional balance. I'm project manager, leadership development, that kind of thing. So that kind of came to me easily. And one of the groups that I joined to just be a helpful, healthy outlet, someone posted one day a video, and I didn't really join and I didn't converse a lot. I just used it as a healthy outlet to voyeur and give myself something to do. And my hand moved and hit the click for the video, and it was Abraham channel or Esther channeling Abraham. And
mhm,
it took about 3 seconds, and the whole front of my chest got warm,
mm,
and it felt like a vibration.
mhm,
And, some people say light activation, and there's a lot of different ways to describe it. I just say it captured my attention, and but in a way that was very profound. I became an avid listener of Abraham exclusively for the longest time.
mhm,
And so that's how I was introduced to meditation. And meditation for me was guided meditation in very small increments and then silent meditation. And
mm,
about 4 months into meditation, my face started to just move a little. And
mm.
then about a week or two after that, it started to move like this. And my face was, I was calm and relaxed, kind of in a seat like I am right now. I was upright. My head wasn't leaning on anything. And my face would just do this the whole time. And then right before my alarm would go off, my face would stop in the middle like that. And so I knew something was going on, and didn't really understand. I wasn't a spiritual kind of person. I didn't go get readings. I didn't really involve myself. I didn't even know what channeling was at the time.
Mhm.
But so that continued. And then on 9 months, almost to the day, right after meditation, the swirling stopped and my face moved to the left and to the right. And it did that 3 times. And then cursive writing began to be written in the air with my face.
Mm.
And I was
Wow.
introduced to James, Yeshua, the collective known as the teachers. And they talked about non physical life, they talked about creation. And then they gave me all kinds of personal guidance. And it was word by word by word in the air. And I remember, I know when a word was ended because there would be this little squiggle at the end, like this is LOVE squiggle. And I would see a
Wow.
squiggle, and that would be my cue to know that that was the end of the word. And
Wow.
then my face would move back to the left. So,
Wow,
so
you're like a
things,
human typewriter.
it was. And let me tell you, everywhere I went, I'd be in the car and my face would be doing this. And so people probably, I have no
Thought
idea
you
what they
had some
thought.
special needs going on there.
Probably. But it took about a month. And then I just call it face spelling, mouth moving, and then voice giving. I know it sounds kind of funny, but we communicated in this very deliberate, lengthy conversations, intelligent conversations by face spelling. And
Wow.
then it was mouth moving. It was like lip syncing, but there was no voice.
Mm-hmm.
I know now that it was stage one of channeling.
Mm-hmm.
So my mouth would do this,
Wow.
and I knew what was being said.
Mm-hmm.
My mouth was being moved
Mm-hmm.
in the shape of words, and so
Right.
I understood what it was. And then it was a couple of weeks later that they simply said, "Carol, can we speak out loud?" And
Wow.
I said yes, and they said okay. And this was by face spelling. Just say your name, and then just start to talk about something. And I went to say my name, and then this whole flow of conversation about creation and about the world and about guides and about who non-physical people are. It was about 15 minutes of nonstop talking
Wow.
out loud, and which I now know is consciously aware verbal channeled person in
Mm-hmm.
a very, very, very light alpha state.
Mm.
So for me, I hear the conversation as it's being said. I remember all of it for about an hour, and then tiny highlights after about 2 or 3 hours. And after that, it's just gone from my memory. I have to go back and listen to a recording or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine your neck is grateful that yeah, it started
I kind of
finally.
miss those days, though. I miss the face spelling. They do it every once in a while when we're,
Wow.
just having a good time. But they're
Wow.
intelligence. They are what they call the teachers of the teachers. And so I'll
Mm.
explain this real quickly.
Yeah,
Everybody has
please.
a guide,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what they call a non-physical teacher, meaning that in the non-physical place they have, more or less things that we do, and there are teachers of how to participate in physical life.
Sure.
And that teacher is with us our whole lifespan. So people call that being a guide. And they just say, well, it is a guide, but it's more accurate to say non-physical teacher.
Mm-hmm.
That's James and my I just say my level one guide. And the teachers of Yeshua is a broad group of non-physical teachers. They say there's anywhere from 40 to 50 in large group channeled sessions, 4 or 5 in readings and attunements. And
Wow.
they call themselves the teachers of the teachers, meaning they're the beings who teach guides how to be guides,
Hmm.
and they know all things about physical life.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that brought forward the essential material, and they say any human being that is a channeled person and is having channeled teachings come through, the information is one of 4 categories: non-physical life and why we're having physical life. That's pillar one, the foundational material.
Mm-hmm.
All things law of attraction and that thoughts create your future reality. That's pillar two. Pillar three is light activation and all the ways to heal your body in holistic ways and using source frequency to heal. That's pillar three. And pillar four is learning how to communicate verbally in a clairvoyant and channeled way. So
Mm.
pillars one, two, three, and four, that's what they call the essential material.
Mm.
And I have the really cool life, I guess, that they teach all of it. They teach segments of each pillar. So all four
Mm-hmm.
pillars are part of their suite. Now, the 4 pillars are also aligned to the chakra system. So, when you say it's been a whirlwind. So March 20th, 2019 was the
Mm-hmm.
day of face spelling. And so it's only been 4.5 years. It's, I guess March will be 5 years. And they've written 37 books by video.
Wow.
And they are really fun. I don't have all of them published yet because it's time consuming. I do everything myself right now. But they're all color coded for pillar one is orange and it aligns to the sacrum. Pillar two is
Mm.
blue, aligns to the throat chakra. Pillar three is magenta and pink, aligns to the root. And pillar four is um, purple, which aligns to the crown. So it's very easy. You're having a bad day and you just had an argument with somebody at work. Sit down and open one of the blue books, and it will give you a healing sensation and
Wow.
also smooth out your temperament and your emotions in the moment. So it's just fun. It's color
Yeah.
coded. It's
Wow.
it's alignment. It's very deliberate and categorized, which suits my personality. I
Mm-hmm.
like to say I have just enough OCD to make life easy.
Right, right, right.
And they've just fit right in with that. And so it's fun.
Wow. Um, yeah, so that's a lot of material. 37 books in 4 years.
37 books. Yeah. 32 of them are 100 pages, and the
Mm-hmm.
rest are, more like chapter books.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, so I do channeled awakening classes to bring out
Mm-hmm.
mediumship. I do channeled self healing, the art of self healing classes.
Mm-hmm.
I do channeled workshops, readings and attunements every day of the week, Monday
Mm-hmm.
through Friday, and I have people all over the world in 4 years. From New Zealand and Australia all the way over to Russia, and United States, Canada. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's all over Europe, India, and I was naming all the countries to my daughters the other day, and they said, "Mom, we get it. You have a lot of people,"
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Well, it's not that I have a lot of followers, but there's a little bit of followers all over the world,
Yeah, right.
and that's the the energy of the beings that communicate through me. They're drawing people to me
Mm-hmm.
and drew us together, which is really cool. And
Yeah.
so, I just always give credit where credit is due, and I give it to them first, and then all the kind responses and feedback that I get for what they teach.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm curious, as a channel, you also, in the channeled state, give intuitive and medium type readings as well. So the teachers will bring through. How does that look? Does the teachers bring through like, oh, by the way, as I'm departing this wisdom to you, here's great grandmother, Gertrude, who wants to, pop in and say hi. Like,
Yeah.
or is it a separate
Well,
process for you?
it's a little bit of mix and match with terminology.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you their definition of the terms, and then
Okay.
people use whatever terms.
Sure.
Intuition. Intuition is being silently, non-verbally guided to do something. All of a sudden you have plans for the weekend, and you just really don't feel like that's the right thing to do. Now that could be law of attraction, or it could be intuition. You get to the stove right in the moment that the pot of pasta is just about to bubble over. Again, it could be positive law of attraction or intuition. So those two things, it's hard to discern. So there is intuition, and that's just knowing something or doing something. And then there's psychic activity. And psychic is how we create. The way they describe it is we have this voyeur ability to scan the world at large and bring information back.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's how we find people and things and make connections. And it's also how a lot of readings are done. And so I don't do psychic work.
Mm.
Um, Clairvoyant is sights and sounds and physical sensations that I receive in the mind's eye. I do have that. But all of my readings, all of my energy work sessions, all of my private appointments, all of my workshops, all of my classes are channeled. So I do have clairvoyant activity that happens doing when words are flowing out loud, and that's the easiest way to describe it. Is there is clairvoyant activity at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't choose the words or choose the descriptions. If
Mm-hmm.
the vision that I'm seeing is useful, the teachers will describe it. So it's the way they the way that they are progressing students is they simply say intuition advances to clairvoyant medium.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that the inner mind or the subconscious mind is asking the body to present thoughts to you that are originated from the other side.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Channeled is when the body will speak the words
Mm-hmm.
that have been originated on the other side instead of thinking them. And so I just say, we're all taught to sit and think about what you just did, or, you sit and you think and you sit and you work. And so we're taught to think before we speak. And it's interesting that that's the way abilities progress. So
Mm-hmm.
intuition moves to clairvoyant, which is thinking thoughts that
Mm-hmm.
have come from beyond. And then channeled is speaking, directly
Mm-hmm.
speaking without presenting it in the mind first. So I do everything channeled because they have a way of describing things, and sometimes pace, um, fast or slow,
Mm-hmm.
repetition, it's always meaningful. But they watch the energy of whoever is in the room and whoever's listening.
Yeah.
viewers to this interview as well. And
Yeah.
so they are more equipped to know what people need than people are. So I always defer to them.
Right, right. It's like if from their perspective, they know every person that will ever. As we're recording this in real time, I'm, sort of we're combining energies in this moment, and then there's the ripple once this is actually, a month from now pushed out to, you know, many people all around the world. They know who those people are and what they're, because of course then it's all happening in this moment as well. From the ultimate perspective, I imagine you would agree with time
Yeah.
is an illusion. And so,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a fascinating thing to consider, like how unique their process must be of like, okay, let's take everyone who's meant to hear this particular broadcast and see what would best serve. And of course, you or I can never know. We can just be there to receive it and
Right.
explore what's offered, right?
They describe it in a lot of different ways. They say everybody's ready to receive any channeled message. Everybody's ready, but not everybody is listening. Not
Mm,
everybody's intuition is strong in that moment. So I do know, because they've had conversations with me. They said, Carol, we're all ready. What we do is we talk to the guide of every person that
mm-hmm,
is interested in this kind of material,
mm-hmm,
and the guide of every person that is supposed to be interested in this kind of material.
mm-hmm.
And they use energy techniques to draw people to your show or directly to me or somebody that's watched your show that would refer somebody else. And so it's like this domino effect. And I laugh sometimes. I just say guides of people, non-physical teachers, they have to be on 24 hours a day. And they say, Carol, we never, ever, ever, ever take our eyes off of you or anybody within about a 50-mile radius of you. And so if you're in a big city, that means they are constantly communicating with everybody's non-physical guide
Wow.
to help maneuver and bring people together or keep you apart. And intuition is what helps you to be guided in greater amounts. And so
Yeah. Right.
how do you
Wow.
get better intuition? What silent meditation
Mm-hmm.
is the number one way to increase your intuition, increase your intellect, increase your comprehension,
Yeah.
increase your emotional balance and your friendliness. And so I just, a plug for meditation, 10 minutes or less,
Sit down
silent
and shut up.
meditation. So, yeah, asking the mind to shut up. But, but that's hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
And, it was hard for me and it's hard for a lot of the students that I have that are learning. And so the teachers give a lot of techniques. One is just a little bit of a lift of a shoulder. So when you're in meditation and kind of comfy, like I'm in the corner of a love seat sofa. And so this is, my back is supported, my body's supported. And so when eyes are closed, now a thought can be a thought, like you just remembered something. So it's a memory. It could be a to-do list item. It could be, I have two cats. They might be scratching out on the scratch pad in the hallway. It could be a lawnmower
Mm,
or something outside. A thought is a sound or an itch. Or
mm-hmm.
believe it or not, I have a couple of students and they say, I don't know what to do, but every time I sit down to do meditation, halfway through, I got to run to the bathroom. And the teachers come through and they say, that is your mind playing tricks on you and presenting resistance in any way possible. So, believe it or not, even having to run to the bathroom in the middle of meditation is a thought. So,
Mm-hmm.
a slow lift and release of your shoulder with your hand on your lap, just a slow lift of a finger or a slow lift of your foot. Just pick one thing and do it.
Mm-hmm.
When you do, whatever thought you had, it'll just dissipate. So you might
Wow.
have to do it 50 times in 10
Right.
minutes,
Mm.
but hey, it makes that thought shift away.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's
It's a
easy.
cool it's a cool tool to just, you know, okay, I'm going to it's kind of like, okay, wiping the chalkboard. Okay, wiping the chalkboard and having that little physical twitch. Um
Right. Just
to
gentle, just a
yeah,
gentle
right.
motion because the way, gosh, there's so many things. They always talk about the mechanics and it's the essential material when they talk about pillar one and pillar four. So pillar one is non-physical life and physical life, and pillar four is awakening into being able to communicate as a
Mhm.
medium. as a medium, channeled or clairvoyant.
Mhm.
So, with those two things in mind, they talk about the mechanics of the energy field and the energy body. There's a cord that comes down. They say there's two. One that goes down called the hara that brings soul energy into the physical form, and there's another one that comes down this direction to the right, over the right shoulder, into the solar plexus. And at the top end of that is your non-physical teacher, your guide, and they
Mhm.
never leave it for your entire lifespan.
Wow.
And I've had them in classes, and they say we really don't go out to lunch. We don't go out to lunch. When you're taking a nap, we don't go take a nap too. We never, ever, ever, ever leave the top end of the cord, and we're always sending healing tones,
Mm.
light wave energy or sound wave energy that can't be heard or felt by our eyes and ears, but our energy body and the chakras feel it. And they say it's that same cord that we send conversation through. And
Mm.
so a medium is anybody that has verbal conversation on the other side. Now, a channeler is a little bit different. A channeler is a channeled person, channeled medium, but your non physical team, that person's non physical team has identified a subject that they want to teach. And
Mhm.
usually it's a book and lecture series and things like that. And so
Mhm.
that teaching is generally law of attraction, but can be any of the four pillars.
Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of feel really blessed that in this lifetime, some of all four pillars is being offered to the world in book form, video form, class form,
Mhm.
self-paced courses, and also live classes. And so people are really, one thing that is just fun to note for anybody and any of your viewers and yourself included that really likes channeled material. There's a there's a frequency of healing that comes through the solar plexus of the human being. So that frequency is in the room of the channeled person, but when you're watching a video, it's also in the room of the viewer. So just sit back and close your eyes and listen to channeled material and allow some healing to get done either on your emotions or on your physical body. It's it's like a bonus with channeled material. It's out there
Mhm.
in the room.
Yeah. 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 You referenced these teachers, this collective group of teachers, as working with Yeshua. Is that
They
correct?
say the teachers of Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not Yeshua from a religious or Christian background. They say there's 14 different nations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to get too technical, but they say in the non-physical place there's 14 different land masses where
Hmm.
people live, and the there's a land mass that they have labeled as Yeshua, and they are the teachers
Hmm.
of that landmass. They said, think of it like this: pretend that North America continent. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like 14 continents. They try to
Interesting.
break it down into analogies and examples that we can relate to. So they
Mm-hmm.
say it's kind of like continents, and you have people that are from that continent, and
Sure.
and and non-physical vibrational beings that are from that continent that have risen up to or elevated their being to teacher level. And they say
Mm-hmm.
we are the teachers of the continent of Yeshua. They've given it, and they're what they're wanting is to create a new generation of channeled people and clairvoyant mediums, and then guide people into I am channeling the teachers of wherever I'm from in the non-physical place. So me, evidently, I'm from a body or group of people that they have labeled as Yeshua,
Mm-hmm.
and and when we start to do that, then your channeling broadens because you always channel your guide first. And so some people do channel just that one being.
Yeah.
And and if you advance your ability and your skill by way of meditation, then you start to bring in a small collective that grows and grows and grows. So I've had about 50 at
Mm-hmm.
one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I assume that that could get larger.
Mm-hmm.
But non-physical teachers are the ones that do the channeled, that ask your body to speak the words out loud. And it's your guide that asks your body to do clairvoyant mediumship, to think the words or think the pictures or sensations. And so what they're wanting is a new generation of awareness of what psychic ability is versus clairvoyant and what channeled is. And there's still a lot of people that think channeled is some kind of shtick,
Yeah.
or that it's just speaking in third person. And what they describe just makes more sense. People are taught to think before you speak. And we get in trouble as kids. You get in trouble as adults to pay attention and prepare and think about what you're going to say and think before you speak. And so it's no wonder that clairvoyant mediumship comes before channeled mediumship. Channeled is simply let's say this: mediumship is simply having accurate two-way dialogue with beings on the other side. And those beings can be your loved ones, or they can be your guide, or they can be somebody from the whole teacher set, or it could just be someone that you don't know and that you're interested in. An author, an actor, a historian, somebody that's iconic. And so they're all loved ones. I like to capitalize the L and the O of loved one, just to signify that they are purified vibrational beings, because now they've gone to the other side.
Yeah.
So as a medium, I bring through guides always, and loved ones if that person is asking to have that conversation. And it's always fun and interesting. They always give some kind of personality trait, not really a physical object. I really don't do physical evidential kind of things, but they always talk about a lisp or a limp, or something that was recurring with them mentally or emotionally, sometimes where they lived, or what kind of things that they like to eat. And they do a lot of Edgar Casey like material with holistic care, and energy solves everything. Doctors have it right. Stress is the basis of everything that goes wrong with the body.
Yeah.
But stress can be identified even further as emotional discontent. And what the teachers do is they identify physical problem by physical problem, body part by body part, what the emotional phrase and the emotion is that is bound up in your memory that is creating it. So, for example, somebody that's got a sinus pressure, like sinus headache or migraines, that all starts with the phrase, "What happened?" It's like edging on confusion. What happened here? What happened? And as the energy of that emotional phrase, it's like, huh, would be the emotion. What happened would be the emotional phrase. When those things amplify, then it starts at the sinus, it amplifies, goes down into the nasal cavity, the throat drip, or the post nasal drip, or front nasal drip, down into the inner ear, and then the throat, and then down the esophagus and into the lungs, all the way down to the diaphragm. And so when people have sinus headache, they have first level confusion, first level, I don't like what's happening, which is the huh, or the what happened here. First level means that there's been enough accumulated that it is now spilling over into your physical body. And so that's nice to know. Now, somebody that's got a sore throat, it's already progressed from first level all the way down to fourth level. And then fifth level is down into the chest cavity. So they describe emotions, emotional state, emotional phrases, where the energy is bound up in the chakra system, how to release it using hands-on techniques to activate chi, and also what attunements are good for, and that attunements are healing work that non-physical beings that do healing work, they come in during a channeled session, and they alter the chakras to help you feel better emotionally, behaviorally, but also physically.
Right.
Some hands-on things. Like I have one student who had a really bad gash down the front of her calf, and it was probably about 4 inches, and it was deep. and she's a nurse, uh, and she was considering going to the ER to get stitches. And she decided to put a butterfly bandage on it first and then use hands on techniques. Within 48 hours, it had healed, closed up, and she took incremental pictures all along the way. And
Wow.
so, I don't advise anybody to not go and seek medical attention. Do that because you feel better, less worry, less fear, but also, use the energy techniques afterwards. So triangulation is what they call it. Your medical physician squad, your physical therapy squad, and then your energy therapy squad. And when you have that perfect triangulation, then you will be healthy emotionally, physically, behaviorally, and then that just gets amplified
Yeah.
throughout every area of your life.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to speak with the teachers, is that something that it's like an on-demand sort of thing, or does it
Oh yeah.
come? Okay,
Now they'll
cool. Is that
so more than likely just start asking questions. They always introduce themselves,
okay?
and they are as of late they're identifying how many teachers are
Ah,
coming through, and
gotcha.
that might be for you
Hmm.
because it might be something that is happening with you. So
Got it. Got it.
yeah,
Okay. So I can just address them at any point and
yeah,
say,
yeah.
okay, I like that. That's fun.
They'll shift my awareness. Usually, they have my eyes move, dart to the left or to the right, and then hold my gaze, and then they introduce themselves, and then they'll shift my awareness back to the camera.
Well, I would like to go ahead and ask the teachers of with this particular broadcast, and as I mentioned earlier, myself and all the people who will ultimately hear these words, what is I guess, in the limited amount of time we have here today, what is the most pertinent and helpful piece of information that you could offer to us all?
The guide of you to speak. There's four non-physical beings in the room with you. You don't feel them, you don't see them, and I want you to. So I would say outside of the business venture and things that you're doing, you
Mm-hmm.
built into this physical life to be someone that promoted conversation with non-physical teachers. So you're on the right track. From soul intention perspective, you specifically are on the right track, except that you are not feeling your guide team in the room. And it is a team. There's 5 of us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the room with Carol. I'm asking her guide to convey this information, and then her body is doing it. The other 4 non-physical teachers, they are beings, elevated beings. They're in the room with you. Now, what I want is for your throat and solar plexus to widen. Why do I
Mm-hmm.
want that? Because then you will have awareness on the inside, not awareness on the outside, like you see a ghost or you see an object move or you feel physical sensations. So we want to separate the non physical body from the physical body. The non physical body is overlapped on top of the physical body, but they're separate, they're overlapped, and they're locked in place. And so I want your non physical body to respond when your non-physical team is in the room, and right now your body's not. And so I want that. So I want that for you. But by saying those words, it's almost like a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a person that does like challenge accepted. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit of criticism, for you makes you,
Mm-hmm. For
you
sure.
get your back up a little bit, and then and then you're a go-getter. It's almost like you have natural instinct to prove the naysayers wrong
Yeah.
when the topic is something that you're very enthusiastic about. You might not know the information, but if you're enthusiastic about it, then you'll prove them wrong. You don't like naysayers about you because you're a
Mm.
gentled person. Now, as far as the business goes, we love it. We love it, love it, love it, love it. We love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Because you're doing well and you like it. If you didn't like it, we would say, we love it anyway, but you don't. And so, how can you do something different? We say you need meditation. You need 12 minutes, and that's the max.
Mm.
Silent meditation. For you, we want the eyes blink method, and we appreciate that Carol gave the shoulder shrug and the finger. But Finger, isn't that funny? But here it is. We never give words without purpose, and so there is a reason for using the pointer finger. It is the finger of fear, and when you lift the pointer finger, the index finger, in response to asking your non-physical guide to quiet your mind, then you are removing and reducing fear overall in your life. So we do like this one for all of the listeners, but for you, the eye squeeze method will work faster. And so we're just going to position Carol's face as best we can to the count. When a thought comes to mind and you are in meditation, we want you to simply do this. Very gentle, eyelids closed. We can open the eyes now. Eyelids closed, gentle squeeze and release. Gentle, slow motion, squeeze and release. And it will cause the inner, the inner mind to line up to the cord. So the cord that we are communicating through in this moment, everyone has one. The subconscious mind needs to line up to that cord to receive the conversation and to receive the healing. And so we say anybody that is suffering from what you call seasonal allergies, we say you're suffering from blood and gore of Halloween, the unfortunate situation with hunting season, right on the heels of Thanksgiving and having that meal on the table in many parts of the world. And then following right after, going into financial concern. And so there's concern, all the way up through January 1st. And so many people are suffering from respiratory things. But respiratory things in this seasonal way can be minimized and over time healed. And it's simply by asking the subconscious mind to line up to this cord. We know that that's getting a little technical, but you've got a few viewers that are going to want that technical information. It's also what we want for you. Because here's how it works. You built in to be a channeled person. All right. So who's your favorite channeled person? Just name anybody that you've interviewed or anybody that you haven't yet interviewed. Who's your favorite? We want you to stop right there and just say me. Mm-hmm. We want you to say me, meaning we want the unconscious part of you to make you almost a little on the edge of sarcasm and saying, well, if I built it in, then I'm my favorite. But we want you to do that because in everything that you do, you are presenting yourself as professional and high self-esteem, high self-confidence. Anything that you have low self-confidence in, you shy away from until you are intelligent on the topic. And then you present it like I know it and you own it. And so we say to you, you built in to be a channeled person. Just because you built it in doesn't mean that it's going to rise to the surface, but we want it to. It's a soul intention that you're going to want checked off. So all kidding aside, we do want that for you. But who is your favorite? Who do you resonate with? What do you like to listen to if it's channeled material?
I would say the first two that come to mind are Abraham and Bashar. Are my favorites. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So play them around the clock, all of your daytime hours. Low volume. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to take notes. But there is a frequency of healing that billows. We mean billows into the room. In order for the mind, and there have been some documented things about brainwave activity that happens during the channeled state, but it's a healing frequency that comes out into the room. We loop it back and we use it on your throat chakra, on the right, on the back, and on the left. The front is clean. So how does somebody step into mediumship or into their awakening, which is the same thing? Play channeled material in the background, low volume. It just has to be a sound in the room, and it does not have to be anything that you are paying attention to. It's like you turn on the air conditioning to change the temperature. You turn on channeled material just to change the alignment of your throat and solar plexus and the subconscious mind to the cord of communication and healing. Just play it in the background. For you, it's going to take 8 months, and channeled will pop on the surface. But when it pops on the surface, it could be one word out of 40. And so that's not clean or clear. 1 word out of 40 is extreme novice. But if you love it, then amplify it. But that's what you built in. So what do we want for all of your viewers? We want your viewers to simply say, is that me? Is that me? Is that me? And so we want you to break out a pendulum. Any of the viewers. We want you to break out a pendulum and just simply say, did I build in to this physical life? This physical life. We get some people that say, well, in my stream of consciousness, in a past life, is my past life affecting my current life? So leave all that behind. In this physical life, as who I am now, did I build in to be a medium? If you get a yes, then ask, did I build in to be a channeled medium? And if you get a yes, then you need 5 minutes of silent meditation. Every 2 months, up it to 1 minute more, 1 minute more, 1 minute more, maximum of 12. Every non-physical teacher will say the same thing. General emotional balance meditation, silent for any increment. But if you are studying to be a medium, then it's 3 to 12 minutes. You need 12 minutes. Many of your viewers need about 5, so we say an average of 5. Silent meditation is silent. It is not mantras. It is not singing bowls. It is not noise or eyes open. It's a quiet time of day.
No, like meditation music or anything. Just
none.
Pure silence. Got it.
None. Because here's what happens. You have a subconscious mind. That subconscious mind is your psychic voyeur ability, and it is surveying the world every second of every day, every microsecond of every day. And it is identifying vibrations. So here we are sitting in Carol's office. She has vibrations of wall, of carpet, of plants, of wood, old wood, meaning paper, new wood, meaning table, plastics, metals, physical vibration, but there's also vibration of the 2 cats that live in the home, and also of all of us, because this is where she does her channeled material. And so in this room, there is vibration. So we say it's almost the Christmas holiday. So it's like the Grinch. Noise. It's like that. It is like that. And this is James to Speak. I'm Carol Sky. So she can feel a little different in temperament, and the flow is a little softer. It feels more familiar than your guide, although your guide also came through as quite masculine. And so the vibration that's in the room, your aspect 1. So subconscious mind is functions. Think of it as functions. You have the function of collecting information. You have the function of presenting that information to your physical life. That's law of attraction. That's law of creating. That is thoughts create your reality. You've got a function that gathers information psychically, and you have a function that presents it to your physical life. Those 2 things combined are your personal law of attraction. Law of attraction is not the universe, meaning the non-physical team. It's not in the air. Law of attraction is your subconscious mind, parts 1 and 3. We love telling people this. Now, part 2 is dormant. Part 2 is dormant, and it will stay dormant unless you are pursuing mediumship. And that is the function, or the aspect, capital A, the function that needs to be unleashed and blossomed, awakened. Fully awakened will always be channeled. Partially awakened will be novice channeled or clairvoyant. Not awakened is intuition. And so you built in to be channeled, at least a little bit, and we like that. Now, what do you want to talk about? Mediums. We're creating new mediums. We're creating new mediums, a new generation of mediums. And we're creating new mediums that understand what the 4 pillars of the essential material are, so that if they progress to channeled, we can teach on those subjects. We do not teach all 4 subjects through anybody else at this time. But as soon as someone is interested in pillar 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we're going to say it like this, the foundation material, who we are, who you are, and why you're having a physical life, and why we have completed it, who your guide is, and all those kinds of things. Creation included. Pillar 2, thoughts create your reality, otherwise known as law of attraction. Pillar 3, the art of partnering with your non-physical team to heal your lives. And we do mean lives, the one you are having, and all of your past lives. And sometimes they do need healing. And pillar 4, unfoldment into your mediumship abilities. We want people to unfold into channeled, because then we get to say what we want to say, how we want to say it. Sometimes channeled intermediates are giving lecture series, and then their tone is very monotone and their facial expressions are very minimal. And it's very difficult for the unconscious part of viewers or lecture participants to pay attention. And so we like full and open, channeled people. That means that the human being can have eyes open, facial expression, tone of voice. We can use some body language. And we really, really like it if they can stand up with a microphone, with lights, lights, camera, action. We want channeled to be mainstream. Psychic mediums are mainstream. We like that for finding things and for finding people. There are lost people, and there are people that are grieving because they assume that their loved one has passed and they don't know where their body is. Psychic mediums can hone that skill beautifully, but also lost things. And also, what's my favorite? Indecision. They can help with indecision. But psychic mediums are not providing guidance from beyond. Clairvoyant mediums can. Channeled, always. Not very many channeled people like to do readings. And so
Yeah.
we want that. So what else do we want? People to be unafraid of who they are communicating with. There are no evil spirits, bad entities, ghastly ghosts of any kind. None. Everyone goes through the purification process. Everybody. Think of your worst human being in your history books. Those that created
Atrocities.
Immense atrocities. But atrocities could just be slapping a 2-year-old. And so how does that happen? It's anger that fills up the void of the grid. Some call it the vortex. Fills up the void of the grid, and then it flows into physical life experience, and then you become angered. And when a population of people become angered, then violence becomes mainstream. And we say that the human population today, although pockets are becoming more gentled, it is a violent race of people. Sarcasm is around every corner. Blood and gore is not funny, but it is in every movie theater. And so violence erupts, and violence. So what do we talk about violence? Because we want the human race of people to just be nicer to each other. Because when you are nicer to each other, your intuition rises. When your intuition rises, it means that the function of receiving information in the world also receives it from the world, but also goes to the non-physical cord and receives intuitive guidance. So we don't do intuitive readings, because that would mean that Carol's using a lesser ability. And so you mentioned both Bashar and Abraham. Now, they both do readings. Now, they don't do private readings, but they do readings. If you're asked a question in a channeled state and your non-physical team is answering the question, well, typically that's called a reading. Question and answer. So we'll say this to you. What questions do you have for us? What are some of the questions that your viewers have often and that you want to provide an expansive answer for, or your team or you, or give us a question. We've got lots of answers.
What do you do with someone who understands a lot of things mentally? They've got it figured out. Like they understand how it all works, choosing the right thoughts, and yet things, their body seems to be lagging behind, and maybe they're not able to sleep because there's a lot of trauma or fear, or processing of what the future holds, or what the past, and what happened in the past, and then therefore there's frustration because they're like, I get it all. It all happened for me, not to me. I understand it all, and yet my body is. I wake up. I know someone who wakes up in a state of like they can't get in ahead of like Abraham talks about, stopping it before if you can go neutral before the boulder's fully down the hill, it's a lot easier than once the train has left the station, right, to turn it around. But in this person's case, waking up and they're already at a 10. It's like energy,
Well,
it's in their body.
can we coin a phrase that not all will appreciate?
Sure.
The secret behind the secret.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is the secret?
Mm-hmm.
And many know the whole story of how the movie and the book and now the series of The Secret came about. And some know that the collective known as Abraham was interviewed for that. We won't go into all of that, but the secret is you have a non-physical team that is guiding you. And we do know past, present, and future. And we do know all things that are happening in the world. We can take our vision and we can see the entire globe. And we can go all the way down and count how many hairs are on your head or in one eyebrow if we choose to. And we do it by vibration. So we know what's going on with you by vibration, but you don't. And so the secret is you have a non-physical team. We are not ghosts and we are not mean. And we are not malicious and we do not meddle. We are purified vibrational beings, as all people will be after they leave this physical world. You will go back to where you came from. All right. So purified beings, you have a guide and you're meant to be guided. You are meant to be guided. So think of it more like this. You're playing pin the tail on the donkey. But when you play pin the tail on the donkey, you have one person that spins you, and then positions you and says, all right, now you go and put the tail on. And you are all by yourself. And you've got the blindfold on and you've got the tail, but you're all by yourself trying to find the wall. You have a non-physical guide who never leaves your side. And if you could hear your guide say, shift your body to the right about 10 degrees, take one step forward to steady your balance, and then reach your arm out in front of you with the tail, and then take one step forward. Casual pace, relax, you will not fall. We promise you will not fall because we always guide and encourage at the same time. And then don't put the tail on yet. Shift your hand down about 2 inches, over to the right about 6. No, up a little bit, right there. And then you open your eyes and you have perfect connection with the donkey. Now we're going to tell you this. So we sat on the beach with Carol and one student, and it was about midnight. We were having a little festive thing on the beach. It was well lit from the resort, but not on the beach, but just enough that you could see the sand. And so we said to Carol, let's play tic-tac-toe. And she said, oh, I love this game. Who are we going to play with? Now, who are we going to play with? What does that tell you? That she was already aligning that we were on the same team. Now, how can you play tic-tac-toe if you're on the same team and you have nobody to play with? So she called a friend over, and the friend came over, and Carol had her eyes closed and her head turned. Now, with channeled people, it's not just facial expressions. We can move their body. We are doing this. We're asking. We're not doing it. It's not possession. We're not assuming the role of human being. We are simply asking the subconscious mind to tell your brain to move the limb in a circular motion, and we can get very fancy and specific. And so we asked Carol to turn her head and close her eyes. And tic-tac-toe was drawn on the board. Her eyes had seen where the board was in the sand. And her friend was X and Carol was O. And her friend went first. We took Carol's arm and we drew a circle. And we played full tic-tac-toe with our eyes closed and our head turned. And we never touched any of the tic-tac-toe lines.
Cool.
It was also cats because we aren't going to favor or win. But that's what we call that clair mobility or clair movement. And so when you get very, very precise, we can do that. Now we can also, when someone gets very, very good with physical movement at the request of your non-physical team, well, we can help you stretch your body. We can help you, loosen a joint or a muscle. We can help you. But verbal guidance is what everybody is supposed to have. You're supposed to, but not many do. And so that's what we're doing. We're teaching people to
Wow.
have it.
That's very cool. Really, I mean, what you're saying is the most important thing that people can do is put in the work to open these channels so that you have the most um, information and assistance at your disposal to navigate your life in the most successful way possible, right? And to have the best impact.
Your life. Yes. Do you like roadblocks? Do you like speed bumps? Or do you like smooth asphalt? Which is your
I'll
favorite?
go with the smooth asphalt.
Right, right. And so what are the bumps in the roadblocks? So we'll come back to what is the secret is that you have a non-physical team. But the secret behind the secret, all right? So the secret, meaning the book and the movie, is all about law of
Mm-hmm.
attraction. Good begets good, bad begets bad. Positive emotion is good. When you have accumulation of positive emotion, you think positively and then you manifest positively. Okay. But the problem is it's not well understood. There's a secret behind the secret. We're amplifying information or expanding information. So you have positive thoughts. And let's just say this beautiful podcast, you have positive thoughts, positive expectation on the outside. That means your words, whether you're thinking words or saying words or writing words, your words are good. Your words are goodness. Your words are healthy. Your words are positive. Your words are everything describing what you're wanting. And you even use fun words like, I always, and it came with ease, and I like it very much, and this is the way life is supposed to be, fun and happy and joyful all of the time. So you're using all of those exemplary amplifying words. The problem is it's not your words that are going to manifest
Mm-hmm.
until those words have been said enough times that the inner mind, the subconscious mind, is what we call the grid. The grid is the vortex. The grid is the container of all of your life experience. Your life experience is every vibration in the world. And those things that your subconscious mind have found significant are the things that you will manifest. So let's just say we got an itchy nose. So we're going to rub Carol's nose. So right now it's just an itchy nose. No big deal. But that means I don't think I can when it's on the left-hand side. I don't think I can. Now over here on the right-hand side, it's just worry or doubt mixed together. And so if she's got an itch on the left-hand side of her nose, it means I think I can't on a specific subject. Now that doesn't mean that she's had a thought. Right now, the thought is hours. But let's say in 2 hours from now, she has an itch on the left side of her nose. There may not be a thought, a conscious, aware thought of, I don't think I can. But the grid has it. It has enough of it that it has spilled over into physical
Mm-hmm.
life and has produced an itch. So now she's got an itch for real on the right-hand side because her mind is aware of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get all of this done. I can't get all of this done. And so people are in the season right now. If I can't get it all done, I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I can't get over this. I can't do that. I can't see everybody. I can't do everything that I want to do. I can't have all of my traditions. I can't be everywhere for everyone all of the time. So the unconscious you is what we call the grid. The grid is the container of your life experience. The grid is where law of attraction manifests. So this aspect one, that is your psychic ability, it voyeurs the world and it draws vibrations of thought. And thought is subject plus emotion. It's always coupled together. Thought plus emotion gets absorbed into the vortex or into the grid. And then it gets partitioned out, subject by subject. There's subjects in your energy body. And you do have an energy body and you have an energy field and you do have chakras and they interact. The energy field is the container. The energy body is the housing mechanism for your life story. The chakra system is the pass through between the non-physical body and your physical life. So it goes like this. You have some things that you want to do and you don't think that you can get it all done, but you're trying really hard. And one day you do get it all done. And the next day you get it all done. But days 3, 4, and 5, you don't get it all done. So you've got a little bit of both. I like it not. I like it, I like it. I like it not, I like it not, I like it not. So in this instance, 5 days in a row, you've got +1 on the I don't like it scale. Now, if that I don't like it continues to grow, it will reach a tipping point. And when it does, it gets passed to function number 3, moves into the chakra system. The chakra system interacts with the brain, and then your body tells you to think something or do something or manifest something. But it's oh so complicated, because it could manifest an itch on the nose, or it could manifest a phone call. It could manifest healthy, or it could manifest a stoplight that makes you angry, because you could have, I do not like it, I do not like it, I do not like it, but you've got joy rising because you're getting ready to go shopping. And so you're being prompted psychically, meaning law of attraction wise, you're being prompted to go shopping now, leave now, so that you can experience delay and disappointment and frustration because you get 3 red lights in a row. Now that's psychic activity. That's law of attraction. So what is the secret behind the secret of manifesting? The secret of manifesting is happy in all things like it, and you will eventually see evidence of what you're wanting. But how do you make it yours? You have to clean the emotional self, which is your non-physical, it's your memories. You have to clean emotional residue from your memory. But you can't. People can't. You can supplement and add happy, and you can create a beautiful delta between the two. But your non-physical team erases negative emotion and inserts neutral. So some of our, and we'll just say associates, some of our non-physical team and collective associates that are channeling through people, and we do overlap. So in this moment, there's 10 non-physical teachers. None of them are overlapped with the ones that you mentioned, Bashar or Abraham, but we certainly could. It does not mean that we are Abraham. But if there's a teacher in Abraham that wants to join this conversation, we won't say no. Now, people would say no. Now, that would not make us Abraham. That would still make us the teachers of Yeshua. That would just mean that we have a visitor that wants to participate in the conversation. But the channeled person never knows it. Do we do that? All the time, but people don't need to know about it because you can't feel it. We have conversations over here that are always friendly. And so the secret to manifesting is be happy. Happy in all things like it. But what is happy? Well, frustration is softer than aggravation. And so technically now, that's not happy, but is happier than aggravation. But happy, and all things like it will lead you to accumulating more happy in the grid on every subject imaginable, as well as in general. And then happy experiences must be experienced by you, but it might not be the thing that you're wanting to manifest. So you might want a Range Rover. You might really want a Range Rover. And so you do the vision board, and you do the internet search, and you print something out, and you put the one that you want. And you've got no price tag because that's good, but you got the year and the make and the model. And then you put your city and state, and you put your name. Now, the interesting thing is, this is where pillar 4 and your abilities come in with pillar 2, law of attraction. So you can have that Range Rover on your vision board, and you can look at it and you can smile every day. And you can take a picture of it, and every time that you go to the men's room, you look at that picture just to give you some kind of routine. And when you wake up, you look at it. When you go to sleep, you look at it. And you say, I love that Range Rover. It is mine. I paid for it with cash, and it felt good the whole time. Now that's good, positive, verbal, manifesting activity. But you might not get a Range Rover. Why? Because you downloaded a picture off the internet, and the voyeur in you, meaning aspect 1, the psychic function, it might, because you keep looking at that picture, it might look at that picture and realize that that Range Rover is not in your state or even in your time zone, much less your city. And so it says, well, I can't manifest that in my city because that Range Rover is in Kansas and I'm in LA. So the inner mind says permanent delay on manifesting that. Because why? Because some people in the root chakra have rigid opinions, OCD tendencies, too much logic, too much rigid, too much got to have it this way. And if that person's personality is that way, then their manifesting ability could make an oops. So we say draw the Range Rover, draw it, print it, and draw the outline of it, or just use words. So what is the secret behind the secret? You got to have the energy work. You have to have what is alignment? It's emotional alignment in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the vortex and the subconscious mind is the grid. It's all the same thing, just different words. You have to have energy alignment on the inside to manifest it on the outside. Now, if you're using good words and good emotions, then you are influencing and adding positivity. But if you have a lot of doubt, or if you really, really, really don't want to spend $70,000 in cash, you don't want to, which means you've got a lot of accumulation of, I don't like to write checks that are that big. I don't like those checks. I don't like big checks. I don't like giving a big check to someone. If you have a large accumulation of that, you might never pay for it in cash all at once, because it all depends on what your accumulation is in the memory of you. But here's how it gets even more complicated. Your memory is everything that the voyeur in you, aspect one, the psychic ability. There is no time-space reality. And so let's say that you are in a slump and you're aggravated and you're just mad at the world. Well, your nighttime voyeurism, some people call it astral projection, we call it jumping because it's a nicer word. Your nighttime travels, you don't leave your body. It's like Stretch Armstrong. Your awareness flings into the world and then comes back, but you're always attached to yourself. It flings out and comes back, flings out and comes back. And so you can have spatial jump. Let's say you're in LA and Carol's in Washington, D.C. So you, tonight, you could, from a space perspective and time perspective, it could be the time is December 5th. And spatially, you stay within your timeline of December 5th, and you spatially go to the East Coast of the United States, and then you come back again. You have jumped or projected spatially, but within your time reality. Now, if you're very, 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 very aggravated, you might go to Washington, D.C. on December 5th, 2023, and you might dip down into 1792.
Interesting.
That's the time space continuum. So you can keep your time reality and move into your spatial reality because it's all East Coast time, December 5th, East Coast, West Coast, December 5th. But if your voyeur psychic ability wants to then dip into history, it can. Now, when it does that, it brings that memory back into your life story. And now you could be sitting on the tree line of Gettysburg. Yeah. And it's in your memory and you don't know it. Now, let's say that as a high schooler, you found the Gettysburg Address really interesting. And so in your adult life, history is interesting. You like to go to battlefields. And maybe you even support the military in a very strong way. And maybe you make sure that flag is out there every 4th of July and all of those things. And you're a proud American and you're doing good things. And all of that is goodness. But in your nighttime voyeurism, your psychic ability, you're manifesting. The condensed energy of manifesting is done in your sleep. And so it might keep jumping to Gettysburg. And it might do it within your time reality, or it could go into history reality. And you might see a tour bus that's walking around taking people walking around on a tour. If you've been in a really, really, really good mood, but history and Gettysburg specifically is in the grid active, but you're also happy, then you might just jump in your sleep and you might see a tour guide talking about the battle. But if you're in a stance of real aggravation, and you also have this Gettysburg and history kind of things active in your vibration, but you're also frustrated, then you could go all the way back to Gettysburg battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have no conscious memory of it, but it's in the grid, meaning it's in your memory, it's in your vibration. And so if you do too many jumps like that, and we say once or twice is not a lot, but 500 is a lot. And then you might suddenly be afraid of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
You might really dislike guns and weaponry. You might just feel like you just want to lay down more often because you might have been on a stretcher. You might have voyeured into a battle. You don't know. And so people can't heal the grid. You can't heal the trauma that you know about. Emotional trauma that you know about is everything that you are consciously aware of. But the vortex of your memory, which is where all manifesting starts, that's the grid. It's a container. It's like it's a structure that holds memory. It holds memory from every instance of psychic activity. And that's what needs to be cleaned up. So your words are great. Your emotions are great, but you're still not manifesting what you want. Why? Because you've got bound up memories that are competing against your positivity. Let's say you want that Range Rover and you're 52, but you only wanted that Range Rover for 2 years. What did you want before that? Lamborghini, Mercedes-Benz, or maybe it was a Toyota Camry. And so if you wanted a Toyota Camry all throughout your 20s because you were struggling, and that's the car to really, really want, that means, my first professional car, my first real car, Toyota Camry. Or maybe you watched a lot of television and Toyota Camry was a lot of advertising. And so every advertising, every desire is in the grid, in the grid, in the grid, in the grid. And so you might want that Range Rover for 2 years, but you might have 30 of wanting that Toyota Camry. Mm-hmm. Because your 20s plus your 30s plus your 40s, your mind has not left that subject. So how do you get what you're wanting? Energy work. Mm-hmm. That's the secret behind the secret.
Energy work equals alignment. The gateway there is through meditation and connecting with your guides, you feel.
Yes, silent meditation. And we're going to tell all of your listeners this. And we look into the camera here for this one. We never, ever, 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 ever. We never, ever, 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 ever talk to you in meditation. It's a healing moment. It's a healing moment. All right. It's a healing moment. There is never conversation. If there is thought activity, it is human mind activity, human brain activity. So we never have conversations in meditation, although we will have conversations at length after meditation. It's a moment in the day that you give your healing team time to do corrective and preventive action on your emotional body so that you have a happier day and so that you can eventually manifest things. But if you are talking to yourself or perceive that you're talking to someone, then your mind is active. And if your mind is active, it's depositing memories in the grid. And if it's depositing memories, we cannot remove emotions. That's simple. Silent meditation.
And to reiterate, you talked about the finger pointing for most of the listeners. Myself, you said the best technique would be the eye squinting, the eye squeeze. And at what point to do those things again? When a thought is arising?
Anyone that is wanting to be a medium, or anyone that is a medium, or anyone that considers themselves a channeler. Now, channeler means that your non-physical team is providing conversation and teaching. Now, there are people that say they're channeling, and we just say, you got to be sure of where the information is coming from. Channeled is the human body responds to this request. Please speak the words out loud in order. Do not add, do not supplement, and respect any and all pauses. When the human body does that, they are channeled. If the body responds and provides conversation in the mind's eye, they're clairvoyant. We just call it ocularity of the mind. So if someone is studying or is a practicing medium, then you need somewhere between 3 and 12 minutes of silent meditation every single day of your life. The amount of minutes, it's good to know what yours is. And so use a pendulum and always start at 12 and then work your way down. But wait a minute in between questions. Now, anyone that is wanting just emotional balance or help with manifesting or coping through the holidays or whatever the case may be, then any amount of time that you give your non-physical team. Now, we're not promoting Apple nor the watch designed by that company, but we do love the breath app that just shows up and reminds you it's a mindfulness minute, a mindfulness minute. And there's so many people with that contraption and others that have, various little apps that remind them, hey, sit down, close your eyes and breathe for a minute. Now that's nice. That's nice. But it takes about 20 seconds for the mind to go quiet. And so you only get about 2/3 of that minute, and that's okay. But emotional balance is created by your non-physical healing team. And when they have been successful, then you're aware of it. And so let's say 10 minutes of silent meditation. It could take 9 months for you to have people that look at you and respond to you and mention that you seem like you're happier. What's going on with you? You seem really happy. You seem really happy lately. It could take 9 months of 10 minutes silent meditation every single day. That's a good long amount of time, but it's worth it because it shows up in your life and in your thoughts and in your behaviors. And then eventually other people notice it. And then eventually people feel the desire to tell you they've noticed it. Now that's draw coming from the healthy person. Draw to compliment me to keep my motivation going, compliment me to keep my motivation going. So anybody that's wanting to manifest something, silent meditation.
And just
Silent meditation.
to be sure, the finger pointing or the eye squeezing you do at what point in that journey?
All meditation sessions, no matter the length.
Just
Whenever a thought comes to mind, so we'll use the shoulder technique here as a visual. So there's a truck that Carol's ears can hear at this moment. If she was in meditation, then she would lift her shoulder up and down slowly, continuously, until the truck sound is no longer heard. Now, if she has a thought, same thing. If she's got a physical sensation, like maybe she's wearing jeans and she notices that in the position that she's sitting, the waistband is digging into her hip bone. All right, that's a thought. The subconscious mind, your personal law of attraction, your psychic activity surveys everything and decides what you get, whether you get to like it or whether you don't get to like it, or whether you get to like it fully or like it partially. And so the technique is simply pick something. It might be a shoulder, it might be an eye squeeze, it could be the pointer finger is best, or simply flex your foot very gently. But no matter what, pick one and then stick with it because it's repetition. Because what you're saying, so we'll use the finger technique. So let's say the cat runs in the room and jumps on Carol's lap in the middle of meditation. She would raise her finger until the cat either settled down or got down. And she would do it like this, nice and gentle. Now, each time what she's doing, because she has awareness of why she's doing it, I am asking that activity to not occur while I'm in meditation. If it's the truck outside, I do not want to hear sounds outside while I'm in meditation. And so you want to stick with the same thing. You're creating repetition. And so this over time gets understood. And so one time you go silent for a good 30 seconds. So in a 10-minute silent meditation, very novice person, it could be 100.
A lot,
minor motions. but that also calms the person down, because too many people say, well, I'm not good at meditation, my mind is just way too active. And we say, well, yeah, your mind is active. Your mind is active because you're a human
Mm-hmm.
being, and your brain activity is on 24/7. There's never a time in your life where you do not have brain activity. That brain activity is caused by aspect one moving to aspect three, moves through the chakras, moves into your physical body. So brain activity is always there. What you're asking is for, when someone says, I can't meditate, my mind just, I'm bad at meditating, you're asking for this. Law of attraction, maker of mine, please make meditation
Huh.
difficult for me, make me aware of it, and make me comment at verbally so that I am discouraged. Help me, in other words, law of attraction of mine, to be discouraged from following through on meditation. So we don't want anybody to say those words. So instead, we know meditation is not silent. There's no human being who has 12 minutes of meditation that is silent. We just want it to be silenter, silent-ish. And so the lift of the finger, lift of the shoulder, whatever method you use. Now, sometimes we even say a little swipe method. So if you're, we'll put the knee up. So if your hand is resting on your lap, we say, just swipe to the left. Because, all these apps that you use, when you swipe, you're saying, I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Go back to silent. I'm done with that. Go back to silent. And so there's many different ways. So we teach. And we just want to say this. We are the teachers of the essential material, the 4 pillars of learning. All channeled people everywhere do not use that phrase, the essential material, the 4 pillars of learning. However, if they look at or communicate with their non-physical team, and we want you to, simply ask, well, what pillar are you teaching? And your non-physical teacher will give you a 1, 2, 3, 4, or combination thereof. We want to standardize, in other words, channeled material so that people respect it and trust it. We want the inner mind to draw people to channeled, because we can heal your bodies, we can heal your minds, we can heal your lives, and we can help you manifest things. But also, we help you get your soul intentions done. And so, what do we do through Carol? Well, we provide guidance by way of readings and attunements. We teach people how to bring out their mediumship abilities. We teach people how to do preventive care using soul frequency. We provide classes and workshops, private appointments, and she does them in various ways. So,
Amazing. Amazing.
anything more for us? Anything more for us? Otherwise, we'll conclude.
Yeah, I think I feel complete. That was, I mean, of course, we could keep going forever, but
Yeah.
complete for now.
So I'll just tag on to what they said. So classes. Every Monday night, I have Unfoldment into Channeling. Tuesday night is the Art of Self Healing. Once a month, I do an open Q&A for 2 hours. And end of April, I have The Way to Self Heal. It's a cruise workshop, and it's in no thought pollution, so you get even more done when you're offshore. And membership. So I just like to say, if someone is a serious student, or they are an avid person that likes to ask questions from channeled people, then check out one of my memberships. Gold membership is unlimited conversations with the teachers every month, and a whole bunch of other things. Platinum is unlimited live classes the whole year, plus the monthly workshops and a whole bunch of other things. And so those are fun. It's just, if you can make it economical for people, then they
Hmm.
stick with it. And I love channeled material, and I love being a
Yeah,
channeled person, and I want more of
amazing.
them.
Well,
So,
this has been
yeah,
absolutely awesome and very informative and enlightening. So thank you so much. Um, I
yeah, you're
would,
welcome.
well, one thing I just realized, and we went so deep there. I haven't asked you for a story of synchronicity, serendipity, positive paranormal story. So I'm curious if you have a little story time before we sign off here.
Yeah. The day before face spelling occurred, so that was March 20th, 2019. So March 19th, 2019, I sat in meditation, and right afterward, I had the thought to try to
Hmm.
connect with my grandmother, my
Hmm.
grandma Rose. And so it was one of the first times that I ever thought to do that. And so right after meditation, which is important, right after meditation, it was by instinct to do meditation silent. And then right after meditation, the day before face spelling, I believe it was my grandmother because she said her name. And she said, Carol, endeavor to be great, not to be
Mm.
small. And I wrote those words down. And then the very next day, the first stage of stepping into channeled is uh, given to me on a silver platter. And then 6 weeks later, I'm a channeled person. And now, 4 years later, they have students all over the world and they're teaching some of all four pillars. And so I just say, endeavor to be
Mm.
great, not to
I
be
love that.
small, is the most profound thing that I can say is the
Mm.
forefront for all of this happening. I would say mediumship,
Mm-hmm.
paranormal. Paranormal. That's para means with and normal. So isn't it nice to say paranormal is
Mm-hmm.
good, to have it be normal, to be with your non-physical
Yeah, I
team?
like that. I like that.
Paranormal. Yeah,
Yeah,
me
I've been
too.
having some, I guess in a sense mediumship because it's coming through in the dream state. I had someone who a visitation or my grandfather came to and grandmother came in a dream and introduced someone, and then the next day it ended up being very significant tie-in and like, hey, I need you to meet this person, and then the next day like yeah, it's a whole story I've shared before, but that's been happening to me more where like even last night I had something similar. Well, I'll tell you real quick because you'll probably appreciate it. I was dreaming and my grandfather came through, and this is a few weeks ago, and he died in the 80s, and it was a psychic event for me. I had a prediction that day randomly in church, and hours later he died, and then I was a little boy, and then all these years later he comes through with my grandmother, his wife, and shares. He's like, I remember in the dream I was like very excited to have him on. I have them both on the line, kind of thing. And then he said, I want to introduce you to my friend Peter Finch from World War II. And I'm like, okay. My grandfather was at Pearl Harbor when it got bombed, and he jumped and swam and lived, and his friend standing next to him died, and his ship is still in the harbor there. And so I'm like, oh, maybe it's his friend that was right next to him. So the next day I remember, I write it down. Luckily in the middle of the night I woke up and got to write this down, Peter Finch, World War II. And I look it up and it's a real person. And it's actually, he was a famous actor who first to win an Oscar um, after he died. Soon after he died, he won an Oscar for it's called The Network in the 70s. And I instantly think of my son because he's an actor, very serious about it. Had a medium predict that he would be a very successful actor when he was really young, and now he's having a lot of success. And and so I'm like, this must be related to my son Bradley. And so hours later. And then also Peter Finch in his Wikipedia, the next thing was he was known for being in a famous battle in World War II. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, not only is he a real person, I can tie it into probably, connected to my son in some way, but he was in World War II significantly enough. They write about it. And hours later, I'm going to play tennis with a friend, and my son texts me, hey, Dad, can you help me? I got a last minute audition request for a World War II film, like a short. And so I wouldn't have canceled my plans because I was walking out the door, but of course, because of the dream. And then, yeah, I helped him to audition. He had an hour to turn it in. And so I just kind of, read opposite him so he could record himself for a self tape. And then I'm in it. I'm like, his character's from Kentucky or something. I'm like, oh, how about I'll just stand behind you and say Moo, which that's my grandmother's name who was with him. We called her Moo. And like next day he gets it. 2 days later, he's on set, literally that short notice, him in World War II as a gunner, in this, it's actually posted on my Facebook.
It's so many things are happening at the moment, and it's kind of funny for me because number one, uh, I had a
Mm-hmm.
friend who was a
Mm-hmm.
practicing medium, and that person said, "There's somebody on the other side has been trying to get
Mm-hmm.
your attention," and they said, "Carol, this is all I'm going to tell you is they're saying that within 2 years' time, you're supposed to be on a platform in front of large audiences, like that." Medium from Long Island. They didn't know who
Yeah.
she was. And I said, okay. And they said, the person that's coming through is Frank
Hmm.
Wozniak. Pearl Harbor veteran from
Oh,
World
wow.
War II. He says you'll find his name on the memorial. And he said, that's all I
Wow.
got. That's all I got. So I went on the internet and I started, who knows if names are accurate when they come through, but so I started typing, how do you spell
Yeah.
Wozniak? So I just went through and my sister-in-law is from Poland. So I said, how do you spell this name? She told me. I looked it up. Frank Wozniak was
He was there.
not a survivor. But yeah, so
Wow.
so I just, if you want to be good at something, be good at
Yeah.
mediumship because it
Yeah.
changes lives. It changes
Yeah.
lives.
Wow. You have
It
that's
changes
that's
lives.
really. I'm
But
glad I shared. I almost didn't tell the whole story because I've told it before on the show, and I'm like, no, you'll appreciate it, and that's cool because you have a similar. It's
yeah,
a
very much
similar
so.
the
Very
World
much
War II
so.
thing. It's like, what is your connection to Frank or mine or my son to Peter? Which I can kind of make. I can see how they might be close, right, with their line of work or what have you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was
I've just given him a job. So I gave Frank
yeah.
a job. I just said, well, I asked my guide first. I said, I said, once all this came together and I said, well, what's the deal with Frank? And they said, well, you know
Hmm.
him, not in this lifetime, but
Yeah.
you know him. And they said, and I said, well, what do I do with it? And they said, just give him a job. I said, well, what does that mean? And so I just say, Frank's my sensitivity
That's cool.
coach. And he helps me with intuition from, just being sensitive of, do I approach this person or that person? Do I do this interview or
Hmm.
that interview? Do
Hmm.
I, so he helps me with being
Okay.
sensitive to
Mm.
intuition. So,
Interesting.
you know,
Interesting.
give your non-physical team and make your team
Yeah.
broad. You have a group, you have a collective, everybody
Hmm.
does, but you can invite anybody and everybody in to
Cool.
help you make life fun. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this has been very fun. I've really enjoyed this interview. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Likewise. Likewise. Well, I do have one final question for you, and it is my cliche closer. In 60 seconds or less, what is the meaning of life according to Carol Collins?
Manifestation of the true
Mm.
self,
Easy breezy.
your truest
Hmm.
self, which is who you wanted to be before you came into
Yeah.
physical life. And if you get there, then
Yeah.
you're done.
Amazing.
So it's like, the ultimate gold
Yeah.
star,
Yeah. I
manifestation
like
of the
that.
true
I
self.
like that. Well, thank you, Carol, so much for taking the time. It has been such a pleasure. And yeah, all of you out there for tuning in, your beautiful brainwaves and incredible hearts. Until next time, journey well.